Hey, Rudy with autism. How's it going, my friend? Welcome in. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it. Wendy Girl, Jaylez, Manny Uncanny, Brian Hernsberger, Living Dead Mom. Say hello so they know you're here.
Hey, how are you? I'm not seeing us anywhere.
She's got a lot on her mind tonight. Give her some love.
There we go. I found it. I found it.
There.
Hey, hello.
Now she's happy. Thank you, guys. It's going to be a fun one tonight. I promise it's going to be lots of fun. Living Dead Mom looks nervous. That's how much fun it's going to be. I am blocked out.
Can you get in?
I can suck it in. I've lost 200 pounds, so I can get through easily. I used to be 300 pounds, guys.
Now you're 100.
Now I'm 100 pounds. Soaking wet.
Soaking wet. Hey, Anthony, Daisy, Wendy Girl, Dave, Manny, Brian, welcome in. Thank you for joining us. How's everybody doing? It's almost Friday. We're almost there. We're so close.
Right?
We're so
Friday.
close. So close.
Cannot get here soon enough.
Christine Williams, hey, welcome in. Good to see you. Goodness sakes, we're still working on doing this. Thought we had a plan in place, and I had images and everything to go with the stories, and I'm not very tech savvy. Forgive me. I'll try and post them online. I know I posted one little picture on Instagram today in the stories. I'll post some more just to give some visuals. But tonight, we're gonna circle back on a story that I think we started kind of digging into on our first night telling ghost stories, which was somewhere I ran into the story of black-eyed children. And Wendy Girl, my ghost story sidekick, was saying, you know, how she's heard of them and how they're in the Appalachians and there's stories from here and there. And so I kind of wanted to dive into it more. Welcome in, Robola. How are you?
Don't worry, Rob. We will not get a Ouija board mouse pad.
Can you imagine that thing starts moving around? I would be like...
It takes control of my hand literally and starts moving all over the mouse pad.
Oh my gosh. So I knew it was going to take me some time to read things and try to find good sources for the stories about black-eyed children. And I know that other people have heard of it, but I hadn't. So it really intrigued me, and so I kind of wanted to dig in a little bit and come up with some stories about it. So, anything you wanted to add to that, LDD?
Welcome in, guys. If you're new here, remember to monster mash that like button.
Appreciate that.
And thank you so much for all your love and support. Our channel is slowly growing, as you can see, so we are very excited about that. And we just can't thank you enough. Bear with us. I've not proofread these yet. I've had a very long day at work, so
just got home.
Literally just sat down. Living Dead Mom's been doing all this back office stuff, so if I stumble, I apologize. So these will be brand new to me, so you'll get my live reactions to these ghost stories. So I have no clue what we're in store for. All I know is, hang tight. We're doing a 4-hour live stream tonight, so I hope you're ready because we are jam-packed.
It's not 4 hours.
All
We
right.
try to keep these kind of short and sweet.
All right, 15-minute live stream.
15 minutes. Awesome. Okay. So, the first thing I wanted to read was just basically like a definition of what and where these stories came from. And of course, they're going to be kind of called folklore. But too many people have accounts of it that if we believe them, it makes it hard to call it folklore anymore. I don't know, what do you think? At what point and how many accounts of it does it no longer become a myth or legend, but a paranormal story? Hey PJ, welcome in. CL, nice to see you guys here. Thank you for joining us. Alex,
Hey,
how are
Alex.
you?
How are those Padres
I was
doing?
going to say, where are we tonight, Alex?
How's the Jeep ride with Mom? Let us know.
A 24-hour live stream.
San Diego
you know what?
downtown. Let's go.
Rob, going somewhere, showing up somewhere, and just going live, I think is a little easier than actual, if you will, content creation. Does that make sense?
I think so.
Yeah, I think just going somewhere, showing up, turning on the camera, and what happens, happens. And then you just upload it, and then you're good. But creating content, I think, is a completely different thing. Hey, Nancy Hernandez.
Hey, what's going on?
And so that's where our learning curve is happening here.
Hey, what's up,
all
Gaming
of it
with
as a whole,
James?
but
How are you, buddy? Thank you for being
definitely here. Gaming with James, how are you? Nice to see everybody. Thank you guys for joining us. Hit that like button if you have an opportunity to do so. And if you're new here and like what you see, we aren't scary, I promise. We just like scary things. Hit that subscribe button and visit us again. So back to where I was starting from, I just kind of wanted to take a general synopsis of what black-eyed children are. And so when they're talking about black-eyed children, they're not just talking about the pupil and the iris. They're talking about the whole eyeball, all the white part, everything, the entire eye is black. So there's no white to the eyes at all, like you and I typically have. And so black-eyed children or black-eyed kids in America, they call it a contemporary legend or paranormal creatures that resemble children between the ages of 6 and 16 with pale skin and black eyes, who are reportedly seen hitchhiking or begging or encountered on doorsteps of residential homes. While tabloid coverage of these creatures, they're calling them creatures, has claimed that tales of black-eyed children have existed since the 1980s, most sources indicate that the legend originated from 1996 postings written by Texas reporter Brian Bethel on a ghost-related mailing list relating to alleged encounters with black-eyed kids. Bethel describes encountering 2 such children in Albion, Texas in 1996 and claims that a second person had similar, unrelated encounter in Portland, Oregon. Bethel's stories have become regarded as classic examples of creepypasta, is what they're calling it, and gained such popularity that he published a fact page just to keep up with the demand for more information about the new urban legend. In 2012, Brian Bethel told his story on a reality TV series, Monsters and Mysteries America, and he wrote a follow-up article for the Albion Reporter News describing his experience and maintaining his belief that it was legitimate. In 2012, the horror film Black-Eyed Kids was produced by a fundraising Kickstarter, and its director commented that creepy children were an urban legend that's been floating around in the internet for years now. I always thought it was fascinating. A 2013 episode of MSN's Weekly Strange that featured reports of black-eyed children is thought to have helped spread the legend on the internet. During 1 week in September 2014, the tabloid Daily Star ran 3 sensationalistic front-page stories about alleged sightings of black-eyed children connected with the sale of supposedly a haunted pub in Staffordshire. The paper claimed a sharp rise in sightings around the world. Alleged sightings are taken seriously by ghost hunters, some of whom believe black-eyed children to be extraterrestrial vampires or ghosts. Science writer Sharon A. Hall was unable to find any documentation of black-eyed children encounters, concluding that the tales are passed on as a friend of a friend ghost stories. Hill considers the legend to resemble typical spooky folklore stories, such as the Phantom Black Dog, where the subject is not supernatural and they may never have been an actual original encounter. Snopes rates the tales of black-eyed children as legend and cites an article in there and advise readers to file black-eyed children under the same heading as Bigfoot. So to keep it like Sasquatch or Bigfoot. Believe if you like, but realize that there's no evidence of their existence, just subjective testimony that ranges from reasonable to suspiciously fame-whoring. So taking that into consideration, I wanted to dive in and find like personal accounts. And so I did find some personal accounts on Reddit, and I also found a book that the author has put some stories in there, and also a newspaper article from what was referenced in 2014 that kind of included some stories in there. Hey Dragonblood, how are you? Victorsaurus, how are you?
Hey Dave, welcome in. I don't believe in black-eyed children. False. It's okay, my friend.
That's okay. And that's just it. Is it folklore? Are people just telling stories? Is it friend of a friend type stories? Some
people don't believe in Santa Claus, but he's real to me.
Yeah, I still believe in Santa, Dave.
I still believe in the spirit of Christmas.
I sure do, you betcha. And the Easter Bunny.
And the Easter Bunny. I will always believe in those guys.
Yeah. And so, like everything else, you know what? We're not here to say whether anything is true or false, but when people say that it is their account, I usually take their word for it. But no one really has any stories where a second person may have been there to back it up. So who knows?
Hey, Mamasaurus, welcome in.
Hey, Mamasaurus, how are you?
How's it going?
Good evening. Thank you guys for coming in. Oh, thank you, Mamasaurus. I hope you don't mind that we call you that. It truly is coming from an endearing place. All right, so do you want to read the news article from 2014? And forgive my scribble on there. Hopefully you can read that. For some reason, when these printed out, some of the wording just came out so faint that I had to kind of go back and
where does it
write it in.
This is the whole thing, both pages? Okay. All right. So this was the news article from 2014.
And this is from across the pond.
Across the pond.
You know, the pond. Hey, Jen's Crochet, welcome in.
Hey, Jen, how are you, friend? Not the pond in Anaheim.
Not the pond.
That's the Honda Center.
I miss it being called the pond.
I know.
I will forever call it.
It'll always be the Arrowhead Pond of Anaheim.
It will.
All right, here we go. A leading paranormal investigator has scored a Staffordshire beauty spot following chilling sightings of a specter known locally as the Black-Eyed Child. Lee Brickley launched an in-depth investigation of Cannock Chase after reports that the ghoulish apparition has returned to the sprawling heathland. The child was last spotted 30 years ago, sparking worldwide interest, and still is today. A leading paranormal investigator has scored a Staffordshire beauty spot following chilling sightings of a specter known locally as the Black-Eyed Child. Lee Brickley launched an in-depth investigation of Cannock Chase after reports that the ghoulish apparition has returned to the sprawling heathland.
It's like 30 years later, I think it came back.
I think so. Okay, the child was last spotted 30 years ago, sparkling worldwide interest, and is today a cult internet sensation. Latest descriptions of the girl, who was coal black pits for eye sockets, are identical to those chronicled in the early 1980s. Lee, author of the book about the paranormal, was stunned recently when he received a new eyewitness account of the Black-Eyed Child. Alerted by what sounded like screams, a shocked woman came across the wandering, sightless specter while walking Birches Valley. We instantly started running towards the noise, she said. We couldn't find the child anywhere, and so stopped to catch our breath. That's when I turned around and saw a girl stood behind me, no more than 10 years old, with her hands over her eyes. It was as if she was waiting for a birthday cake. I asked if she was okay, and if she had been the one screaming. She put her arms down by her side and opened her eyes. In quotes, that's when I saw they were completely black. No iris, no white, nothing. I jumped back and grabbed my daughter. When I looked again, the child was gone. It was so strange. On, Lee, 28, and himself from Cannock said the woman's experience mirrors the earlier sighting. In the summer of 1982, my aunt was 18 years old, and she and her friends would often meet on Cannock Chase in the evening time, probably in much the same way many teenagers still do today. One evening, just before dark, she heard a little girl frantically shouting for help. Rushing to locate the sound, she stumbled upon a dirt track and caught sight of the girl, about 6 years old, running in the opposite direction. When my aunt caught up, the girl turned around and looked her in the eyes, and then ran off into the dark woodland. Her eyes had been completely black with no trace of white. There was a police search, but to no avail. At the time, no one had any reason to believe anything paranormal was going on. The girl certainly appeared to be of flesh and blood. There have been similar sightings of black-eyed children around the world. Some people believe them to be extraterrestrials, vampires, or ghosts, said Lee. But there is one big difference between the sightings around the world and the stories coming out of Cannock Chase. Only in Cannock Chase do the sightings consistently happen during the daytime. In the U.S., many reports suggest that black-eyed children often appear in groups, regularly knocking at the door of unknowing victims and asking quietly if they may come inside. Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
It kind of reminds me of that story I was telling you from another podcast that I listened to. Very similar, that they do travel in groups, and pretty much one of the children, usually the one that's, I guess the older one of the group, is the one that does all the talking. And I'll never forget this story, and I believe I mentioned it before, but anyways, at the end, after the woman did not let the kids in, they did have a door cam, and they went back to look at it, and sure enough, the lady was standing out there talking to nobody.
Wow.
None of those children were picked up on the camera.
Jeez,
But her conversation herself was there talking to just air, basically.
Well, that's creepy.
The camera did not pick up any signs of any of those kids that were there.
That's creepy.
So, yeah, it's very, very creepy.
I don't know if I'd ever sleep again.
So yeah, if you have any black-eyed children at your doorstep, do not let them in.
Don't let them in. Do not let them
and
in.
if you happen to get footage of them, send it to us, because apparently footage is hard to come across up these days.
Luis, welcome in.
Hey, Brady G111, how are you? Gents Crochet, PJ is here. Victor Unbox the World, CL. Thank you guys so much for joining us.
Thank you guys.
Welcome in. Our stories today are specifically on black-eyed children. It's a phenomenon that's been happening right now, or it's been going on for years. It's stories are starting to make its way into mainstream, and so we decided to go take a deep dive into this, since it's kind of pop culture right now. There's a lot of movies that
I know.
have been...
And is it funny, because we started talking about this, I don't know, a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, roughly. And then as I was doing research, it suddenly has become a popular conversation in the haunt creators stories.
Right.
There's been I came across 3 creators that have done stories on the black-eyed children in the last 10 days.
It's crazy.
Just short, kind of video clips, nothing live and talking about it or whatever, but just short stories. And it was just why is this all of a sudden a hot topic?
It's weird. It's once you speak it,
I put it out there
into the universe, all of a sudden, these creators just randomly started coming up with it. And
I know.
they probably have never mentioned it before. If they had, it's probably been a long time.
Yeah.
Since it's come up in conversation, but right now, since it was mentioned,
it's a topic now.
Yeah, now it's making its waves through the internet.
Totally a topic now. Time to go down the rabbit hole. So yeah, I mean, and maybe you're intrigued, because after we heard about it, I was really intrigued and have been thinking about it since.
Mm-hmm.
And so just it's how far down the rabbit hole do you want to go? I just dipped my feet in a little bit, or we would be here all night long. Okay, so these ones are I dug through Reddit.
Okay.
And so this starts with his first story here, and then someone asked him a question, and then he replied. That was his reply. And then this is story 2.
Okay.
And then maybe some ending here. He shrugs and then kind of talks about it. It's kind of like a conversation.
So where does story 1 end?
Story 1 ends right here.
Okay.
And
After
then story 2.
Where's the story?
Yeah,
Okay.
but it kind of looks like it has some conversation in it.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Cool. Welcome in, guys. In case you just joined us, we are doing black-eyed children tonight here with the Living Dead fam. Make sure you monster mash that like button for us. We appreciate it.
Dig into it, PJ.
And if you haven't subscribed yet, it's free to do. Go ahead and subscribe. Be part of the Living Dead family clan. We appreciate it. Justin, how are you, friend? Welcome in.
Hey, Justin.
Again, if you guys do have any stories you would like to share, whether it's your own personal accounts, family, friends, neighbors, some guy you were talking to at the grocery store that happened to tell you his ghost story randomly,
right?
Please share that with us. We would greatly appreciate it. We would love to share those stories back to you guys as well. And that's what keeps us, and it keeps Thursday nights Ghost Stories of Living Dead fam. That also helps us keep this weekly thing going for you guys.
Thank you, hon.
So please, thank you so much for linking our email to them as well, guys. livingdeadfamily@gmail.com. Thank you so much. You can do it as an audio form if you guys want to. If you're not good at typing, you guys just want to speak into your phone and send us the audio file. We'd be more than happy to play it back for you guys. So
Or if you find more on this content, there's enough out there. Thank you. Thank you, Rob.
Hey, Rob, thank you so much, my friend. We
awesome.
appreciate that.
Thank you, friend. There's probably enough content to just keep going on this subject. Or if you run into any other subjects,
there's so many
we can research. Yeah. Sometimes I just need a little time. We do work and everything, and have a family, so it took me a little while to do this, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I enjoyed diving down the rabbit hole and trying to pick out the best content I could for us to share.
UFOs, anything other, any type of, like I said, creatures, cryptids. If you guys don't know what that is, just do a quick search. Maybe you've seen a cryptid before. I need to dive into that
next, maybe, cryptids.
Yeah. We had one, was it a week ago, the last time we did it? It was the short, one of you guys sent something in. I don't remember if it was PJ or someone else.
Thank you, Rob.
It was some miniature something or another, some little creature. I forget what they were called. Some creepy, not human type of creatures. Mothman types of stuff, Bigfoots, anything like that. That it all kind of falls under the ghost story umbrella. So if you have anything like that or know of anyone that has seen any type of something supernatural, UFO, send them over. We want to hear them so we can
love it.
Play it back to you guys. So
these are apparently like coming from the person that had an account.
So this is an actual person's account, not a story.
Correct. Or so they say.
Their personal story. This is from Reddit.
This one.
Okay. All right, folks. Buckle in. Let's continue with Black-Eyed Children. This is someone's personal account from Reddit. Here we go. I used to drive a school bus, and all of my kids were pretty good, especially when by themselves. But there are these two boys at the back of the bus who would act up and do things that got them into trouble. I began noticing in my mirror, right before they acted out, they would appear as black-eyed children. I don't think that it was the kids themselves, but rather a form of temporary possession. They looked like ghouls. Their eye sockets looked empty, and they both had a wider than normal, devious smile. Their skin was pasty white. It was freaky. I began stopping the bus and squashing their plans before they could act out. After a while, it all stopped. They asked a question. Did you ever see them like that directly or only in the mirror? Just seeing if I can find myself yet another reason to be spooked by mirrors. His reply was, I turned around to see them with my own eyes and saw them like that for a brief second. I looked back at them through the mirror and they were back to normal. So in total, 5 seconds through the mirror and 3/4 of a second with my own eyes. Wow.
So I think that's another take on if this is a thing, is it demonic?
Yeah.
Is it a possession type of thing?
I think it can go both ways.
Probably.
I think it could be, these kids could be possessed, or they could be an apparition.
Right.
That they could be definitely some type of evil entity, not necessarily a ghost, what we would call, but definitely just something not something dark. Yeah.
Something dark. Yeah.
Something not good.
Definitely not good.
And but yeah, that I've heard of that too. When other stories that I've heard, that their skin is very pasty white. They are completely just white. And yeah, if you guys run into something like that, you're probably running into a black-eyed child, and probably run away. Don't engage in conversation with them.
PJ says, they say during possessions your eyes will be all black.
And I think Hollywood's done a good job of
Good night, Alex.
Good night, Alex Bartley. They've done a good job.
Children of the Corn. I remember that
Children
one.
of the Corn.
Yes.
Absolutely.
The Mothman. That's a good one. That is a good one, Lady Girl. That's a great movie too.
I know it. Children of the Corn. That was a great. I know they made several, but definitely the original one.
I don't think I've seen that since a child, and I just remember the part of the ground like rolling or whatever through the cornfield always stuck with me.
Yeah.
That movie was good for its time. All those movies were good
Definitely
for their
remember
time.
that one.
Okay, so this one is story number 2 that I found from Reddit.
Okay. How you guys liking so far? Don't forget to hit that like button for us, guys. If you're
Yes.
enjoying this live stream, do us a huge favor.
Wasn't that scary when we were kids,
Yeah.
PJ? It was a good one. Didn't they remake that? Did they? They did a
I
reboot.
wouldn't surprise me if Hollywood's rebooted that film.
I haven't seen it.
I've known
did.
they made sequels throughout the 80s, 90s, and I believe that the early to mid 2000s, but I'm pretty sure we're getting close to remake status if they haven't already.
It's
But
a great movie.
definitely a fun film. Okay, here is story number 2. So buckle in, guys. We are going for another story with black-eyed children here on the Living Dead Family. So here we go. During the winter holiday season of 2021, my partner and her son left the country to visit her father. So I was home alone with the cat and the dog. The entire day of the event was filled with strange occurrences. One example being, I walked past the front door on my way to the washroom. I look at the door as I walk by, and it just opens by itself. So I close the door thinking to myself, how strange the timing was. I make sure it's securely closed, but trying to open it without using the handle. It doesn't budge. Satisfied, I head to the washroom and do my thing. Walking back from the washroom to the rest of the house, I pass the front door. It's open. I'm gonna bleep this out.
Bleep.
The blank door has opened itself. And
All caps.
this is in all caps. And this time, the dog is barking at it. I tell him to relax, and he usually would. Not today. He finally relaxed after a few minutes of ear bleed. Fast forward 2 hours, around 6:30 to 7, and it's a nearly identical situation in that I walk past the door, close it, test it, head to the bedroom, come back to the house, and it has opened again. Dog barking again. Yada yada. Another 2 hours had passed, and I'm in bed when the dog starts at it again. I immediately check the front door, and thankfully it's closed. This happens every hour. This happens every 2 hours until 4 a.m. At 4 a.m., I'm woken by the barks accompanied by 3 hard knocks at my door. My blood is coursing, heart about to beat straight out of my chest as I look through the window to the left of the door to see who is there. There he is, a 10-ish-year-old indigenous-looking boy standing there in a jacket. Wholly unremarkable in appearance until I look for his eyes under the hood and the dark of night. Completely black from eyelid to eyelid. The conversation went roughly like this. Me, the door still closed, talking through the glass. "What's up, little man?" He replied, "I'm so cold. Can I come in?" Myself, "Where are your parents?" He replied, "He just stands there and silent. He has this eerily fake smile he's showing me while just kind of nodding. He evades the question and again talks about how cold he is." I replied, "Do you have parents, dude? It's 4 a.m. What the heck is going on? Are you okay? Where are your mom and dad?" He shrugs. I tell him I can't let him in because I had COVID. I didn't end up getting it. I still wasn't convinced this wasn't a home invasion type of scenario. I run to the bedroom, grab my cell phone, and dialed 911. I give the dispatcher my name and address while walking back to the front door and started describing the kid. This takes maybe 15 seconds. When I get back to the front door, he's gone. I throw the door open and run out to the street, but he's gone. There's nowhere he could have gone that quickly. We live at the top of a cul-de-sac. That's basically it. I looked for neighbors with any cameras attached to their homes and asked if they had captured anything. Only 2 homes on my street have cameras, and neither got anything. One of the homes with the cameras across the street from us, and while she didn't capture any footage, she said she saw a kid walking the neighborhood a few days later in the early morning hours as she left for work. But when she got to where she saw him, he was gone.
Wow.
That was very, very creepy. Very similar to previous stories I've heard of. These kids always want to enter a home, and they will say anything for you to get you to open that door and to come inside or break that threshold.
Right.
Now he is very lucky. I would like a follow-up because I'm curious if the kid got him to come outside. Hopefully that kid didn't sneak into the house.
Somewhere else. Yeah.
Somewhere else in there.
That's a good point.
He should have closed the door behind himself, because I mean, who knows? The kid could have just quickly ran, on the side of the house or something.
Pathway or something. Wow.
Because I don't trust these kids. They're mischievous.
And that was like a more recent story. I mean, not like yesterday, but within the last few years.
In the last few years, Casey did mention the topic of COVID, so
which was like in 21.
Which was smart thinking on his end, whether he had it or not. There you go. There's a takeaway for you guys. If you do come,
welcome in.
Hey EXP, if you come across a situation like that or find yourself in that type of a situation, just not that it would help by any means, but hey, maybe it would.
Yeah.
Tell them you have COVID.
Can they get COVID though? They may not care about COVID.
They probably can care less about what COVID is, where it came from, or getting sick. So, wow. What'd you guys think of that story? That was really, really creepy.
I just can't imagine something being at the door at 4 a.m, because that in of itself is just nothing good happens when something's at your house at that time of the morning.
Well, yeah, it seems like it was probably leading up to that because the dog was barking. prior to 4 a.m. So I'm
The
assuming
dog sensed something.
probably, he said it was going on for several hours. So
The dog sensed something.
So probably between, they always say that witching hour, that 3 a.m. witching hour is when all the spooky things happen at 3 a.m. So I'm sure that kid was probably just lurking around the neighborhood, driving the dog crazy, and that's like your first sign. I've heard of other stories too with people with dogs or cats. They can sense anything supernatural. They know when something's there.
Yeah, they always alert you.
They
We
know.
had that happen with our cat.
Yeah, our cat sent something in two homes ago where we were staying at the time, and if you have animals, trust their instincts, because they got that built-in animalistic fight or flight, whatever you want to call it. They just have those natural instincts where they can sense something.
Senses.
Yeah, they sense something that's not supposed to be there. That's for sure. But very, very cool. What's going on, guys? Welcome in. This is Living Dead Family Ghost Story Night. We do this every other Thursday. So if you're liking this, feel free to subscribe to our channel. If you are new here, if you're new, let us know where you're watching from. We love to meet all our new family members, so thank you so much for being here. Today's topic is the story of black-eyed children. It's kind of got a new, what do you call it, cultural phenomenon, if you want to say that.
It's like it's been dug up again.
Yeah, it's kind of pop culture all over again. So if you guys, do you ever remember that movie? Was it The Grudge? Remember seeing that movie?
I remember hearing about it, but I don't remember what it was about.
It was a Japanese horror film, and it was a spirit. Not to give too much away, but I do remember one of the ghost kids that were in that. I believe there's a little boy, which he was also, I don't know if he was a cat or something like that, but I remember, correct me if I'm wrong, I think this little boy had black eyes too. I don't remember. It's been so long since I've seen The Grudge.
They mentioned somewhere that there was a horror movie made about it. I don't know how far it links. Remember, it needed a Kickstarter.
Okay.
So sometimes those things don't come to fruition.
Yeah.
And then there is a documentary from PBS, actually, which is interesting, right? PBS, Public Broadcasting Station.
Yeah.
That's on YouTube. You can watch that on YouTube. Okay. You literally just Google black-eyed children, and
there's a whole special on PBS.
Yeah, there's a big YouTube out there.
Wow.
And they came from PBS about it. So.
Well, there you go. If you guys want to learn more about black-eyed children after tonight, feel free to check out YouTube and do a search for the PBS special.
PJ says yes, the little boy did have black eyes.
Yes, Ju-on, that's right. That was the Japanese version of it. And then when they decided to make it for here in the States, I believe it was called The Grudge, and that was really creepy. That was another those films were fun. I remember seeing those when those first came out. It was a big craze in the 2000s.
Yeah, you showed me a couple other good ones that
there's The Grudge, obviously The Ring too. The Ring was what kickstarted all of the the overseas, the Japanese horror, because they have you can go on for days with all the lore and things that happen over there in Japan. There's a lot of spooky haunted places out in Japan too. In fact, they even made video games. I remember playing a video game once on Xbox. It was called Fatal Frame, and that game was based off of some Japanese horror out there as well. So, in fact, it scared me so much I never completed the game. It was that creepy. Just the spooky sounds, the ambience, and it's one of those games I thought I could finish it, and a lot of puzzles to it, but there's a lot of jump scares. And I can't imagine what the games are like these days playing now with HD, everything, this and that, and to play with headphones on, forget it. I won't sleep. But they're fun. They are fun, so.
All right. And then to wrap this up with a couple ending stories. So from there, from other accounts on Reddit, I then found a book that's called The True Terror of Black-Eyed Kids, And that was the 3rd edition, written and edited by G. Michael Vassay. And so I just took a couple things from there because obviously I don't want to get in trouble for reading his book on the air here. But if you are interested in reading more, it is on Amazon on Kindle, and you can find it there, and there's a rabbit hole for you right there. So this starts out with, a few months ago, I visited my mother in Amarillo. She lives in a nice area that has a good reputation. I was expecting to have a nice vacation and spend some quality time with her, and as she is getting older, we spent the afternoon together and the evening, and then she went to bed. I wasn't tired, so I decided to watch some TV and catch up with my friends on Facebook. About an hour later, there was a knock on the door. I was a little taken aback as this area normally is dead after 10. I went into the kitchen to try to look and see who was at the door. The knocking was persistent. It wasn't like the average elder visit where a knock would be followed by a silence. This was a constant tap, tap, tap. I was starting to get tired of the idiot knocking on the door, so I went to the porch and opened the door. 2 teenagers stood there. One looked around 14 and the other 16. I instantly wondered if they were at the wrong house, as I was the only person under 30 in my family. There was no possible reason for these kids to be there. They said nothing, so I asked them what they wanted. The older one told me that he was sorry for waking me up, but that he wanted to come in and use the phone. He explained that they had been left in the area by their parents and needed to call someone. As he finished speaking, he just stared at me. When I saw his eyes, I couldn't tear myself away. They were completely black, just black. I couldn't break away from his gaze. I had a huge urge to just stand back and let him in. As we stood there staring at each other, he started talking again. This time he wasn't asking. He was demanding that I let him in. The facade was gone. Whatever he wanted would only take a few moments, and then he would leave. He wanted me to let him in and help him. I broke my eyes away and realized that I was stepping backwards. I hurried back towards him to get off the porch and find help elsewhere. I closed the door with them still standing there and headed towards the phone. I called the police and told them that there were a couple kids in the area who seemed to be up to no good. They told me later they did a thorough check but didn't find anything. No one else in the area had seen them either. My mother hadn't even heard them or the knocking. When I told her about it, she just dismissed it as the youth of today with poor manners. She didn't see their eyes. I felt terrified. I felt the odds with their will. I think they meant to do me harm. Has anyone else had any experience with black-eyed kids? And that was submitted by Deanna M.
My goodness.
Right? So she kind of felt like a force when she locked eyes or black eyes with them.
Yeah, that's creepy too. If they have those like supernatural abilities too, to just kind of like suck you in. And yeah, that's the other scary thing too, is when you don't have control of the situation, when you are encountering. Hopefully you never experience that, but if you happen to, that it's like how do you break that? How do you break the
welcome in, Donnie Land.
The control of over that? Hey, Donnie Land, how are you, my friend? Yeah, that's just kind of like, where do you go with that?
Where do you go with that? I don't know.
I don't have the answer to that one. But man, that was a fun story.
Isn't that crazy?
That was a good one.
Another Texas one, right?
I know. Don't go to Texas,
don't
right?
Go to Texas, Oregon, some crazy lake in California.
We love Texas.
Okay, this one says, I recently read with interest your story about the 2 black-eyed kids who tried to gain entry to a lady's house. I too had an experience with a black-eyed person. I took my family on vacation last year. We stayed in a motel near Lake County, California. It's a nice area with plenty of things for the kids to do. Everything had been going well, and we had been having a lot of fun. On our fourth night, we were in our room watching TV when someone knocked on the door. We weren't expecting any visitors, so I elected to simply ignore it. The knocking continued, and whatever was on the other side of the door started growling. Well, that's interesting. We haven't heard about growling yet. I shouted out and told them that they were at the wrong room and that we weren't expecting anyone. The knocking ceased. A few moments later, it started again, and a voice started shouting, "Let me in." It was a female voice, but devoid of any emotion. Then we started to hear the same thing happening up and down all along the corridor. Multiple voices all screaming, "Let me in." We were terrified at this point, wondering just what was going on. I got up and looked out the window. 2 people were walking into the building. Both looked normal until one of them noticed that I was standing at the window. I saw her eyes. They were completely black. In every other sense, she looked normal. But I'm sure both the girl who saw me and the man she was with were black-eyed people. When the commotion finally died down, I ventured out of our room and went over to the reception block. The receptionist told me that she'd received no complaints and that she'd been on duty the whole time. She had no explanation for what I was telling her. I think she thought I was insane. I just wondered what would have happened if I had opened the door. Would I still be here to tell this story? We won't be going to Lake County again, I can tell you that.
Wow. So they were like demanding to go
Yeah.
in.
And
it
then
wasn't
he
just
heard them
one.
going up and down the corridor.
So they were just going door to door to door. Wow. Yeah, I'd love to
But
learn.
she hadn't received any other complaints. No one else said anything.
Interesting. So maybe it was just her experience.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe all of the surrounding areas or homes or whatever maybe they didn't hear that. Maybe when these black-eyed kids come out, they just focus on you.
Right.
And
Hey, Slim,
hey Slim, what's going on? And it seems like they just they'll try their best to talk their way into whether it's entering your home or entering your soul. It seems like that's what they try to do too, or whatever it is. It's not a positive thing.
Right.
These kids, whether they are real in flesh or apparitions or a kid that's taken over by some demonic possession, it's not. There's nothing friendly about any of these kids.
Do always know, Trish, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, just the old adage we've been told since we were children: don't answer the door for anyone.
Right. Exactly. Now the kids are. It's on the opposite side now. They flip. So now the kids are talking to strangers and wanting in the homes, but they're not real kids, obviously.
Crazy.
But yeah, that one's really creepy.
All right, the next one. So this incident happened around 5 years ago. It was in December or January, and we were having particularly strong snowstorms at the time. I had been in bed for a few hours when I started to hear tapping noises coming from several windows in my house. So windows, not doors.
Interesting.
It must have been around 3 a.m. Well, that would have freaked me out right there. 3 a.m. I just thought it was some kids in the neighborhood making asses of themselves. So I got up, went downstairs, and opened the door. 2 boys were standing there. Now remember, this is in the middle of winter, and these 2 boys are just standing there in thin jackets and pants. The cold didn't seem to bother them one bit. I also started to feel very anxious, scared even. I couldn't explain it at the time. The smaller one of the boys suddenly started talking. He had a monotone voice with absolutely no emotion of any kind. He asked if he could use the telegraph. Now, I was expecting him to want to use the phone, or perhaps the bathroom, but the telegraph?
Mm.
At the same time, I noticed that the whole neighborhood had become deathly quiet. No dogs barking, no humming of wires, no cars, nothing. I told the two boys that I didn't have a telegraph in my house and asked them to go home and reconsider their lives. I also explained that playing fool and asking for a telegraph was a dumb thing to be doing at such an early hour with a grumpy old man like myself. They didn't even flinch. I closed the door and the tapping on the windows started again. I felt drained. That's when they started screaming and shouting for me to let them in. I grabbed my phone in my hall and dialed for the police. The screams and shouts should have been audible over the phone, but the lady who took my call didn't seem to hear them. She said that they would send a patrol car. Later I was told that she hadn't taken my call seriously and no patrol car had been dispatched. I went back upstairs as the tapping and banging continued. I eventually fell asleep and haven't seen these kids since. But I do want to know what the hell was going on. I haven't even been able to get the whole thing out of my mind. What did they want with the telegraph? Submitted by Ron D.
Wow. A telegraph. When's the last time any of us have heard that before?
So that takes the possibilities of a timeline way, way back.
It's almost like they're like in another dimension or something.
Yeah.
Like they've traveled or they're...
That was crazy.
I mean, they could have been obviously a real apparition or real life children, but somehow, obviously they're still here, but have taken over those, the black-eyed children aspect has taken over their bodies.
That's crazy.
Yeah, when was that? Was that the late 1800s, you think? I mean, when he said, what was it called again?
Telegraph?
The telegraph.
I don't know.
That would probably put that,
When was
whatever,
the telegraph around?
that time period of when those kids were around, if they were asking for the telegraph.
Yeah.
Wow.
A long time ago.
A very long time ago. What is going on?
My last story from that book, and to wrap up the stories of the black-eyed children, starts with apparently the black-eyed children can not only disappear at will, but they can also appear in highly unusual places, even finding high-level security no barrier at all. I'm in the USAF, United States Air Force. I live on base. I had never encountered anything strange on base until this incident happened. I was on base one weekend. Almost everyone else was home, drinking, sleeping, or on duty. I had only stayed that weekend because I'd spent all of my money. I was on my bunk watching a movie when I heard a knock at my door. I thought it was my roommate. I went and opened it. Instead of a roommate, I found two kids standing in the hallway. Only these kids freaked the hell out of me. I don't know what it was about them, but we're always told to listen to what's happening inside, because it just might save your life. Right then, that voice was screaming at me to shut the door and lock those kids out. There was also the little telltale sign that these kids had pitch black eyes. I mean, there was absolutely no white or any color to them, just pure black. I asked them what they were doing here at this time of night. One of them told me it was cold out and that they wanted to come in and read. I'd never met a kid that wanted to come in and read, and I knew for a fact that they didn't belong on this base. They didn't mention any parents, any broken down cars, or even how they'd managed to get this far out to the base. There was nothing sincere about these kids. They were playing a game. It was at this point when I noticed I could not drag my eyes away from theirs. I felt like I was being sucked in. It felt horrendous, as though my life were being dragged from my body, screaming. They just stood there with their mouths closed, eyes staring into mine, and no emotion at all. I prayed for someone else to come by, but nobody did. I glanced around, the kid stepped forward, and I stepped back and slammed the door shut. I felt as though I were in grave danger. Every warning bell was going off in my head. I stepped back and fell on my bunk, drained of energy. I heard soft knocking against the door for a few minutes, shuffling feet, and then nothing. The next morning, I went down and asked one of the officers on duty if he had seen the kids. He hadn't. Reading the accounts on your site, I believe I came face to face with these kids on the military base. How did they get in? I have no idea. Where they went? I have no idea. But if they can get onto a military campus, they can get anywhere. Submitted by D. Robbins.
Wow.
And so a note I made from the author, sifting through these alarming accounts, I noticed a couple of other characteristics. It seems that often the only person answering the door sees these kids. No one else seems to see them nor even hear them. And when they're making quite a racket knocking on doors or asking to be let in. Also notice the feeling of being drained of energy. These kids are like energy vampires, draining the common sinister features. A formula, if you will. The modus operandi soon became apparent in my investigation, so let's explain more in detail. And so he goes a bit more into detail. And again, that book is available on the Kindle for free if you have the if you read often and you have the Prime. It's called The Chilling True Terror of the Black-Eyed Kids. And that again is by G. Michael Vasey, Vasey. So now they're getting on the military bases. That's kind of scary. That is kind of scary. What do you think? Michael? Well, let me find it.
Vasey, you said?
Yeah, is it G is the first initial, Michael Vasey, Vasey.
And what was the name of the book?
The Chilling True Terror of the Black-Eyed Kids.
Yeah, that's creepy that they got on base.
So, so what I shared was obviously a newspaper article from across the pond, books of what are supposed to be true stories, and other people's personal accounts. Yeah. That they shared their story on Reddit of these things happening. So, kind of crazy, right?
Yeah. Obviously, they definitely weren't physical beings.
Right.
Obviously, I mean, how can they get on
How
a
can
military
they get,
base?
on an Air Force base.
All
the
places,
barracks.
yeah.
Into the barracks.
How do they just show up,
Yeah,
right?
I don't know.
So they obviously weren't real children. Yeah. But definitely
What do you guys think?
supernatural.
Yes? No? They're real? They're not? You're going to sleep well? You're not going to sleep well?
I don't know. Dave Alvarino was in here saying his furniture's moving in his house.
No, are you kidding me? Dave, send your story.
I know. We want to hear it, Dave.
Send your story, Dave. Oh my goodness. Thank you guys for joining us. I hope you enjoyed some of those accounts. I'm sure, like I said, just trying to sift through the stories. There's a lot of stories, and trying to sift through them to find, what just felt the most real, if you will.
Yeah.
And, finding it from, be it a book, be it media, and then personal accounts. So,
if there's
I believe they're real too, PJ. Yeah.
If there's any other topic that you guys are curious about and want us to tell stories about that, let us know, because there's a whole gamut of types of ghost stories, or some types of apparitions very similar to these black-eyed children. So if there's something that you've seen on a show somewhere, or just heard through the grapevine of some type of supernatural entity, and you'd like us to discuss or talk about it, we'd be more than happy to do a little bit of research and give you guys some ghost stories, whatever we can find on the internet. And let us know. We'd be we're open to this whole thing here.
Louise, hey, nope, won't forget. Okay, so couple things real quick while I've got everybody's attention. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. In 2 weeks, we're going to be doing, what do you say, like a dual stream, like a collab?
Yeah.
So we will be having, is it Bob? Is his name Bob from Berry Place?
Yeah, Berry Place will be with us.
We're going to have Berry Place with us, where he is going to share his accounts from his time as a tour guide on the Queen Mary. Which, if you know anything about ghosts and hauntings, you have heard that the Queen Mary is haunted, and he has got some stories to share. So, so I know he knows how to join streams and all that. It'll be our first time doing it, but he's got experience with that, so he's going to share that. Number 2, you see our really good friend Louise in here. She joins us. You know, we do ghost investigating with Louise, and we had mentioned before about doing an investigation at a historic home in Orange County, and so we want to bring that up again. So if we have anyone that is local to us, LA, Orange County, you know, SoCal, that is interested on doing a real ghost investigation with our investigative team led by Luis, we will be there. Other ghost investigators will be there. If you are interested in doing that with us, let us know. Let us know really soon. We are aiming for, I believe it's the 27th of this month. So that is a Saturday. It is a Saturday night. And Luis has talked to the historic museum and made it so that we can get in there. And we're not talking about a guided tour. We're talking about having the place to ourselves for a few hours, after hours, in the middle of the night, for a donation to the Kellogg House, to the museum. So really cool. So if you guys are in the area and are interested in doing that in person with us, please let us know. Email us or DM us on Instagram. However you can get in touch with us, let us know. And if we have a bunch of interest, then we're going to have to narrow it down somehow, maybe some trivia, or we'll use it as a giveaway. If we only have 1 or 2 interested, then let's go. Let's definitely do this together. So, so thank you, Luis, for bringing this to the table and the opportunity, because it's not an easy opportunity to get. Usually, it's extremely costly. You've got to hire security, you've got to have insurance, you've got to do all the things. And Luis has spent many years in this community and has established relationships with people to be able to offer these things. So again, always our heartfelt thanks, Luis. So let us know if that's something you're interested in. I don't believe we will be going live. We will be doing a vlog style. So even if you're a creator, it doesn't matter. This is not, there's no, it's open to anybody, PJ, whoever, you guys. If this is something you would like to go do with us, let's go.
And don't feel like you need to bring your own equipment.
No.
If you have your own equipment, great.
Yeah, that's why this is really cool, because these guys have equipment.
They have quite a few gadgets available to us, which is nice to have. Mm-hmm. And by all means, if you have a flashlight, feel free to bring a flashlight with you, or just or something.
Your phone, your apps.
Phone, if you guys could.
Rob, I'd love to hear your Queen Mary story.
There you go. Our last investigation that we did
fun.
live.
And an awesome group of people. Hello.
her live, she our last live, she just downloaded a ghost app, and we were getting quite a bit of response from a ghost app, which was coinciding with a lot of things that we were doing. It was responding to us
it
more.
was feeling somewhat credible.
It was giving us a good response through a phone app over some of the other equipment we were using. So
so PJ, if you're interested, let us know. And then Luis just said right now, if we have enough people interested, we can always do another one in the future. And then in addition to that, something, way more inclusive, if we have another group of people, Luis would also take us, again, because she's got all the equipment and fun stuff. And again, we haven't even been able to dive into her abilities. She's got some pretty awesome abilities that I just can't even, I can't even fathom having. Aside from, sometimes you think you feel something, but we're talking about maybe doing an investigation where we can be more inclusive, a larger group in a cemetery that's open 24 hours, or the haunted forest. So please let us know. Let us know if that interests you. Maybe you want to do both. If we get enough interest, we can do both.
And if you guys are curious about it, feel free to go back onto some of our previous ghost investigations, just to get a general feel of the idea of how the process works from beginning to end. There's a little bit that goes into that. We don't just turn the camera on and go. There's a little bit prior to going into the ghost investigating. So feel free, spend some extra time if you guys have it. Look at our previous videos of us going around and with my gimbal and some equipment. Living Dead Moms had some experiences as well with some of the equipment that it's been provided. So feel free to take a look and see if that interests you or not. So what else
exactly, PJ. Only it's hard to go live from the haunted forest because there's no reception. So definitely vlog style.
Hey, Miss
Definitely
Garcia.
vlog style. But how cool. We are entering, I know to the average Joe, it does not feel like it's spooky season yet, but guess what? It's spooky season. It's already, we're halfway to Halloween. All the fun stuff is starting. It's wrapping up into the summer. A lot of our events, like even Oogie Boogie Bash, is starting in August. So guess what? It's here. So if you guys want to start jumping into doing some spooky content with us, I just want everyone to know that if you're a content creator, if you are one of our streamer friends, this is not including you. We want you to be included. There's no competition or anything. That we love you guys and want you there. So don't feel like because you walk around with a gimbal that you can't say, hey, I want to go too. We want you there. And if you are a friend in the area that likes our streams and follows us or knows about us, and you're like, hey, this sounds cool, let us know. Find us on Instagram, or Wendy Girl keeps dropping our Gmail. Let us know on our Gmail, and we'll get back to you and start putting this together. And then we'll probably talk about it more at length again on Sunday for Lattes with the Living Dead. How's that sound? Lattes with the Living Dead. So
that, and like you said, we were talking about the Queen Mary earlier. If you guys have any other, besides like off topic from the Black Eyed Children, if there's any haunted locations that interest you guys, that you would like us to talk about and give ghost stories of those specific locations. I know Trish has shared with us some real spooky locations there in Texas where she's at, so we're definitely gonna take a look into those locations. But there's hauntings everywhere around the globe, so if something
let us know.
If something's is interesting to you guys that you want us to start talking about, send those to us. Give us some ideas for specific locations hey, even if we can do an investigation there, that'd be great too. But any
Haunted Hollywood.
yes, Haunted Hollywood. There you go.
Yeah.
So there's some bars. Yeah, some bars. Bar.
Oh, you got something fun in
No,
yours?
this is just iced tea, not a Long Island, just a regular iced tea.
Long Island. I would be like,
I think, what was it? The Roxy, I think, was haunted, or
theme park balls.
something there off the strip there in Hollywood. Some of those bars were haunted. They've been featured on some like Travel Channel stuff. But yeah, there's haunted locations everywhere. So like I said, along the lines of Queen Mary,
The Cecil Hotel,
let
right?
us
But
know,
we may
yeah.
not make it out of that one.
I know.
We're not going on the roof, that's for sure.
Absolutely. Gosh, I can't even think of anything else that
Yeah,
we
did
need
we
to
drop
cover.
Luis's link
Yes.
for her socials?
Yes,
Okay.
we got Luis in there. Again, scroll up if you guys need to go follow. Give our friend Luis a follow on her Instagram page. And but that's pretty much about it. What else do you think? Did we cover everything? Again, let us know. Send us your stuff on Gmail at livingdeadfamily@gmail.com. Let us know what you guys have. We'd love to hear it, whether it's paranormal, UFOs, even something that fascinates me is like what do you call it? Like a a split in time or a shift in alternate reality. Sometimes those are fun too. So
Yeah.
So definitely, if you guys have any fun stories like that, we would love to hear about it. So,
Right.
But other than that, I don't know if we have anything else to chat about.
Yeah, I think that about covers it. We'll definitely chat more about it. Hopefully we'll hear from people between now and Sunday so that we can nail down the investigation at the historic house.
Yeah.
And if enough interest, then we can nail down 2 events. So the Kellogg house, and then the second one being the cemetery or the haunted forest.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Well, don't forget, guys, to monster mash that like button for us. And if you're new here, welcome in. We like doing ghost stories.
The comedy store would be super
Yes, the
cool.
comedy
Maybe when
store.
we have more subscribers.
I know,
we
right?
we can start doing those kinds of things, huh?
Yes.
That'd be like the ultimate for us.
Absolutely. That would be awesome.
Have enough that we would be invited to such a thing like that. Yeah.
Very
We'll get there.
cool. We'll get there.
We'll get there.
One step at a time. Hopefully you guys had a great time with us tonight. Thank you guys so much for being
And
here.
we'll see you tomorrow in the parks.
Yes.
And then Sunday, lattes with the living dead.
Lattes, and do we have a menu for breakfast
I do not.
at the moment?
I guess I better figure it
I
out. Huh? I'm always saving things, but yeah, I need to figure it out.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Did you guys want to get a close up of our little
Our little village. Let me get out of your way.
living dead mom? Did
We did some village pieces.
She did
today.
all the decorating today, so I like to show you guys all our fun little setup, our little spooky haunted house here. Do you guys remember Michael's stores? They're still around, right?
They are.
The Limax. These are always fun.
We have a bunch, but we can only fit so many.
Yes,
These are set up 365 in Living Dead Son's room.
Yep, he loves all of these things.
Loves all these things.
And this is our crypt keeper.
You know him. You remember him.
He's not plugged in at the moment, but he's animated. And he's got a track to him. He's got some sayings. He's from 1992, guys.
1992.
He is original from Spencer's Gifts. You guys remember that shop? I don't know if they're still around in the malls, but
He's one of our most loved props.
we love
It's kind of hard to see the little
we
witchy
love
gates
all of
and
these
stuff.
Halloween stuff. Thank you, Wendy girl. Hey, John Villanueva, how are you doing?
Hey, John, welcome in.
Very, very fun.
Well, hopefully we got all of you guys. If you haven't already, drag your bodies across that like button. And we'll see you tomorrow in the parks.
Awesome, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Have a good night, guys, and we'll see you all a little later. Good night, friends.
Good night.
Stay spooky. See you next time.